If you've never read this book, it will change your life. Before I read this book, my life was a mess. I not only did too many things, I didn't know the right questions to ask to do less. I would walk away from work every day feeling like I didn't do enough. I couldn't figure out why I didn't do enough. I wasn't feeling enough in my relationships. I'm not saying this cured everything, but it gave me the right questions to ask to start pruning things away so that I could build a meaningful life. One of the most important quotes of this book was, if you do not prioritize your life, someone else will. What this means ultimately is that if you don't protect your time, and not only your time, if you don't protect the energy that you need to make decisions about your time, then you will fall into the whims of others. You'll listen to other people screaming at you at how important things are to them, and you'll take on their priorities because you don't have your own. Because I work from home, I don't have a separation of time and place, and so I'll always be at least a little bit thinking about work, or I'll feel like I haven't done enough, and that just kind of bleeds onto the rest of my life. Something that I used to do was, whenever something would come up into my life, I will end up writing a list, and it'll just pile and pile and pile, and I will feel like I have been doing work, but all I'm doing is just adding more to things that I need to do, and then my anxiety will just like grow with that list because I'm not actually getting anything done. I'm just adding more to the list. The practice for me became, today, what is the one thing that I need to get done, delivered, shipped, actually done end to end, to be able to free my mind up and be able to be completely present in other areas of my life. Now, plug in the world of AI. I use Claude at work. So the thing that one of my coworkers did that she shared with me, he would spin up a scheduled task, and then he would give Claude all these connectors and tell it to scan all his conversations, his emails, all the access that he has to his work. Every day, kind of give him like a debrief. That's great. I think that's great for context. For me, I wanted to take it a step further. So I would say, here's all the context that I need, right? Here are my coworkers, here are the projects I'm working on, yada, yada, yada. And here's my like priority that's long-term, and here's my short-term priority. Give me the most impactful thing I need to do today. What is the one thing that I need to do? I've expanded it to be like, give me the one thing and maybe like 2 extra things if I have time. What this has helped me do is give me a finish line. Because when you don't have a finish line, you'll just end up on this treadmill forever. And then when the day is over, you are still working, or you just feel like you haven't done enough because you haven't defined what done is. Also, I have this habit of opening a bunch of different tabs, starting a bunch of different tasks, and just sort of doing this weird grazing, skimming thing. I would just kind of like hop from task to task to task because they all were important. And I thought that if I could just divide up all my time, that I would eventually kind of move the horse on all of them a little bit. So this is a strategy I've been using for the last few months with Claude, and I think it's made a tremendous difference in my life. I've heard of stories of people using this to apply to even their personal life. They'll connect it to their personal emails, personal calendar, and basically ask what are the most important things you need to get done today. I think to each their own, but I also would personally still want to have a slower process. I'm a little bit scared that this might automate my critical thinking away. I don't want my skill of being able to discern what is the most important next thing I need to do to go away. I don't want that to atrophy. So I would recommend practicing that skill, but it is really nice to use AI to help synthesize a bunch of context that may be all over the place, right? You may have to-do lists that you've been assembling all week. You may have some long-term goals that you set for yourself that you want to make sure you are always bringing back into your own personal context. You may have a bunch of, I've also used this personally too. I've used Claude to like sift through my emails to find things that I have missed, and that has found me like a $3,000 bill that I absolutely was missing. So sometimes it's also just good to just be a second eye. Anyway, I know we are in the age of productivity, but I still firmly believe that less is more. And if you can use technology to help you just reclaim your own time and your own energy, then you should use it for that purpose. I think that is how we can use it for good and not productivity for productivity's sake.